All right, folks, part 4 of the orientation. So far we've taken a look at the Connect orientation here, about the homework. Don't forget the hint buttons. Now this is a discussion board. You're going to have 6 of these, okay? The first 6 weeks of class, you're going to have one of these, okay? Let me just show you what it looks like, okay? So anyway, with the discussion board, notice here, so basically you have to respond to the item. Okay, and it depends upon your last name. So for people that begin with A through D, you're supposed to respond to this one. If it's E through K, you respond to this one. Okay, and by the way, you have to do this first one. I believe it's by, let's go over here. Where is that syllabus? I think the first one is by Thursday of each week. Let's go back over that syllabus there. Let's see. Yeah, we broke something, huh? Okay. Let's take a look at the syllabus. I'm pretty sure it was on Thursday. Okay. Syllabus. And actually, we have one right here. There we go. So, syllabus. When does this thing due? So, get down here to the work. Okay, yeah, so notice it's due on Thursday, July 3rd. That's the first one, and then 2 additional posts are due by the 6th. Okay, so it's going to follow that same pattern all the way through. Okay, just so that you know. Going to follow that same pattern. Okay, all right, so basically that is what the discussion looks like. Okay, there's one of those, and basically you're answering questions related to financial or managerial accounting. Now here are the pretests. Now on these pretests, you can do them as many times as you like, okay? And I suggest you do them a couple times. And I suggest you do them till you get 100. Number 1, because you want 100 on it. That's number 1. Number 2, these are open book and open notes. They're good practice for you when it comes time for the regular test. And number 3, they're very similar to the regular test. So if you can do well on these, you will do well on the test. So let me just click on one here. And each one is about 20 questions, okay? So let me just show you one real quick. Here we go. Okay, there's no time limit. Do them as many times as you want. There's a little rotation in some of the questions. Believe me, at the end of the day, you'll be glad you did. Okay, so let's take a little preview. Okay. Here's the first question coming up here. All right. Which of the following is a characteristic of a partnership? Now, partnership, that's 2 or more people. Okay. So again, you have to read through these. You have to read through these solutions here. By the way, I'll also give you a quick hint here. When it comes time to taking any type of computer test that's on a computer, whatever, one of the things you should do is to read the solutions backwards. In other words, go from the bottom here and then work your way up. Now the reason why, it takes you a little bit longer, but it makes you read all the answers. Most of these computer-driven tests, they ask you to choose the best answer. And a lot of times what they'll do, see this very first position here, like where letter A would be, they'll put the most commonly wrong answer right here. Not always, but they do that. Like, in other words, if somebody doesn't read all of the solutions, right, or all of the answers, remember your job is to pick the best answer. Let me give you an example that I would use in class. I would ask the students, how did you get to school today? And they would say, I drove. And I'm like, okay, what did you drive? I drove a car. Okay, what kind of car? I drove a Honda. What color was the Honda? What type of Honda was it? Honda Accord. What color was it? Blue. Now, if the answers were, I drove a Honda, I drove a Honda Accord, or I drove a blue Honda Accord, which one would be the best answer? Okay, that's why you read all of them, and if you start at the bottom and work your way up, it kind of forces you to do that. That's just a testing tip from somebody that's taught a lot of testing stuff. Okay, all right. So anyway, that's what the practice tests look like. There's some regular There's quantitative questions in there as well as qualitative questions where they're going to ask you stuff. So if you go a little bit later on down in here, there'll be some where you're doing calculations. Okay? All right? And then it shows you the solutions here. Again, really, really good practice. Okay? Really good practice for your tests. Okay? Oh, this thing never wants to take me backward. But anyway, again, like I said, I would suggest you look at it from this position. All right, so then all the way down here, so now this, once you finished all this, you'll be done with the first module. Module 2 is going to look the same. I'll show it to you. I just haven't put all the things in there yet. Module 3 will look the same. And then here's your midterm exam. So your midterm exam is going to be on 9 chapters of accounting. Okay? 9 chapters. So that means these pre-tests, you really got to do them and do them well. Okay? And then the next one, starting Module 4, we're going to switch over to managerial accounting. Again, it's going to be the same identical setup each time. Just follow this straight down the thing and you should do really well. And again, if you've got questions, feel free to ask me. I'm here to answer your questions. Okay? You want to do well, you want to get a B or better in the class. And by the way, after this class, later on, you're going to be required to take a full class in managerial. Okay? A full class in managerial. It's normally taught in MBA programs. Okay? So it's super important you know this. It's going to help you a lot in your other classes. And for those of you, if you've got a degree in criminology or whatever, this helps give you the business background that's necessary to be an MBA. Okay? All right, folks, I think that's about it for the orientation. If I think of anything else, I'll be sure to put it up there as well. Best of luck to you this semester. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.